You and I saw Thor: Love and Thunder this past week, and we're going to give our early reactions to it. We'll respond to some of your questions in the chat. There will be no spoilers and no real details. But Alan, what is your early reaction to Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, well, I mean, now that we've done a few of these, I realize that as I'm watching the movie, I realize I'm going to get a lot of shit in the chat for this, but I really like Thor: Love and Thunder. A couple of things. One is it doesn't bring any of this multiverse crap into it. I doubt that's a spoiler, but you know, I think it's definitely on the end of this is a light, silly superhero movie, much like Thor Ragnarok, and I think with Taika Waititi, he was able to really balance it off with the kind of the light side of Thor with the really dark side of Gorr, the God Butcher, and then this interaction with Jane follows somewhat the comic book, so we're good there. But it's just a really fun ride. It's got a lot of humor in it. It's got a lot of adventure, a lot of fighting, and I think what I like most about it is just it's a simple comic book story. It doesn't take itself way too seriously. I think a lot of the talk leading up to it is, you'll find a little bit of it there, but it's not as bad as people are saying. I think I tend to not want to watch a lot of the reactions beforehand because, for this movie, it's been pretty bad, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you finally see it. And I think you feel somewhat the same way as I do.
No. So here's what I'll say about it. I didn't love it as much as you did. Okay. Mm-hmm. And for this reason, okay. The humor is way amped up more than Ragnarok. What I don't like about that is what it does is it reduces the stakes. It reduces the stakes. Nothing feels important because everything is a joke. And so after a while, that gets tiresome. And what I felt at the end is this felt like an episode of the Thor Disney Plus TV show. I'm not saying that in a bad way necessarily. It just doesn't feel like a movie. I feel like movies come with a bit more weight. They're not as, prevalent as just like, well, here's another episode of a show. And this felt like another episode of the Thor ongoing adventures on television. I will say this, Chris Hemsworth is great as this character. I do like a character that receives a lot of abuse. I wish that Disney/Marvel would learn that, your female characters should really be faced with more struggle rather than winning all the time. If you look at a movie like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, they've retitled that movie, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I will just say that forever. He doesn't win in that movie at all. He's constantly browbeaten. He's just like he fails at every turn. Other than discovering the Ark and saying, close your eyes at the end, he really is just, faced with challenges in which he fails. And Chris Hemsworth as Thor, he's good at that. He has failed in many ways. And that's good. It's endearing to a character. This is why the female characters in the Marvel universe are not as, I don't think they're as popular, and they don't resonate because part of being on a journey like this is you see a character fail and you feel for them. You want them to triumph rather than winning all the time isn't interesting. It's not interesting. It's not interesting in real life. It's not interesting in a story. It's like you want to face challenges. You want to overcome. So, I will say this. I know what you were implying earlier. Mm-hmm. This is kind of the people are thinking this is a bait and switch. It is not. This is Thor's movie. Mm-hmm. Both Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson, and Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, they are side characters. They are side characters through and through. What I think has been the assumption has been that they're going to overtake Thor. That doesn't happen. In a way, it almost reminds me of the way that the latest James Bond movie was marketed. The latest James Bond movie was marketed as like, this Wolf is James 007. She's going to take over. That didn't happen in the movie. And the way it was marketed was to placate a certain audience. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily what they're doing, but there's an assumption now that doesn't happen. So I think that was a pleasant surprise that the female characters didn't overshadow Thor. This is Thor's story. Okay. But I do think because the movie cannot even have a serious moment for a minute, it just is too jokey, too over the top. I think Christian Bale is great as Gore. I love watching people talk about Thor because inevitably Gore will come up, and I think of myself.
Yeah.
What can I say?
No, but I think it was the Gore elements that did bring the seriousness to it that it needed. You know, you couldn't have a jokey film all the way through, and I do like the fact that, you know, Gore at least, and I'm going to say things that are in the comic book somewhat. So,
okay.
but the idea that there is a credible threat to Thor's existence in this movie, and I think that's what, at least story wise, made it, made it stand out and made it beyond just a jokey film. You know, Thor's hilarious adventure across the universe, and I like that a lot.
Well, we'll get into it more. We'll do a full review a week from today when the movie opens. We'll do a full review, and we'll do a full review with spoilers. Okay, but there are a bunch of things that didn't quite work. And I'm not going to say it's completely like there's like, oh, like I'm actually enjoying this, right? I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy are used very well. And I will say one thing I really love is the goats. The goats, whoever did the voice of the goats is great. So there are these things where it's just like, oh, you know what? I'm having a good time, but it's like I felt it's kind of forgettable at the end. At the end, I was just like, well, that was fun, but it didn't leave me going like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And let me answer a question I know that you're going to ask. This is not a spoiler, but this is a question I've been asked. Does Thor Love and Thunder lay out what the next big threat in the Marvel universe, like what's on the horizon? What is phase 4 leading to? Nothing. It doesn't lay it out. Yeah. There are no answers. And unless I missed something, because I did go to the bathroom once, and I may have gotten some popcorn. I'm just saying that there are no answers about like where this is going. As far as like phase 4 movies, I don't know. Spider-Man No Way Home, that's considered phase 4. Is that considered part of a phase? It's considered. I know it's Sony,
because it was the first of the multiverse idea, even though there wasn't a multiverse in it.
I would say that this is among the better of the phase 4 movies. I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home being, I don't know what the rules are and what's considered. I guess that's considered phase 4 because it's, Doctor Strange is in it. I'm sorry. Feel free to mock me in the chat for not knowing that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the second best, or at least most entertaining of the phase 4 movies, but the bar is pretty low. The bar is pretty low. Eternals and the one on the positive side I'll say about this, the movie is an hour and 59 minutes. Doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not like one of these things where it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes and doesn't need to be that. It's like, nope, tight 2 hours. Boom, in, you're out. We're going to go into more detail and do a full review next week. That's our early reactions. I'm sort of lukewarm to positive. Good time. But I think part of my lukewarm reaction to it has less to do with the movie and more to do with the fact that, like, I may just be burned out on Marvel, Yeah, I may be burned out on Marvel. Let's go to the chat here. And Matthew A. Kobo says, put that art on T-shirts. Yeah, we need to do a Critics Court T-shirt. That would be a lot of fun. Alan just likes to have fun, says Internet Rec Room.
Jack, what's wrong with fun? What is wrong with fun? Right?
Yeah, Alan just wants to have fun. Jack T. Ripper, Alan thinks about us while he watches movies. He loves us.
I love you guys. I love you all. Go.
Lil Movie Perp says, is this where the salty fanboys hang out and complain about not being pandered to anymore? Are we salty fanboys? I don't know.
I think there are channels that do that better than us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also, I don't care. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, here we go. Betho Game says, Alan liked Thor. Okay, you can skip Thor. No, I wouldn't say that necessarily.
If you like Ragnarok, you're going to like this one, definitely.
Well, I don't know. I think I may have liked Ragnarok a little better. Ragnarok, I liked a little bit better. Fat Elvis, it's a triumph. We'll go into more detail. Too slapstick, says Internet Rec Room. I would say parts of it are for sure.
For the most part, no. It's basic battles, yeah.
Masters of the Nerddom. Did the visuals improve the movie from the trailer? No. Jack T. Ribber, emotional moments are undercut by a silly joke. Classic Marvel. Yeah, that's what it is. Freedom Punk says, how do you have Gore as the villain and not have a serious moment? There are serious moments with Gore.
Gore is all the serious moments.
Yeah, pretty much all the serious moments are given to Gore, and all the goofy slapstick is Thor. Sean Zamir says, honestly, do you think Bale is happy with this movie? This was his Joker to his Batman. I don't know if he's happy. He seemed to be. I did watch I watched the red carpet. He seemed to be very happy. I think he just wanted a movie like he wanted to be in a Marvel movie. A lot of actors want to do that.
Well, I mean, the sense was he got in and got out. I mean, he did his job, and I think he had fun doing it, just not being the center of attention, so to speak, for a movie.
Masters of the Nerddom, humor is good in a movie, but not at the expense of scenes that call for intensity to give the impression of high stakes moments. I think that's what concerns me, is that there just seems to be no stakes, right? It just is like, okay. Gabe Waititi, what are Mjolnir's preferred pronouns? I wouldn't know that. Adam Nowakowski, Chris, I've been watching you since Collider Heroes. R.I.P. John Schnepp. I love John Schnepp. Love that man. And think about him every day. And especially going to Comic-Con. He was supposed to be, in 2018 when he passed away, it was just like a few weeks before Comic-Con. Maybe even a week before Comic-Con. And he was supposed to be on a panel. He was supposed to be on a panel with us. And the panel was called the Last Jedi Debate. And I believe that the video of that, is there a video? There might be a video, or at least the audio, on our YouTube channel. And he was supposed to be there. And it was sort of tough to get through that panel, knowing he was supposed to be on it. Sean Zamir for $1.99 says, Bale underutilized, the best May villain ever. Maybe we need Marvel villain. Douglas A. Burton, Chris Allen, how many stars out of 10?
I gave it an 8.
You give it an 8?
I gave it an 8. I had fun. I'm sorry.
I would say 6.5, to 7. And that's just being generous of, I had a good time, but just I feel like Marvel's just in the churning of this out. And I know that they shot most of Thor Love and Thunder in the volume, which is that sort of fake, it's like a giant LED screen, right? And you can actually see the background. So it's not like you green screen. It's like the actors can see oh, look at this giant vista. But, and then it does look like they're filming on a set.
They're definitely on. But I feel like, Pixar used to have this problem where they were churning out such great movies that when they put out a good movie, everyone hated it because it was only good. While DC and Warner Brothers at the time, they had a very low bar to cross. And so we tend to like the bad movies so much better because they were churning out such garbage at the time, early on.
Adventure Industries, to what movie would you suggest for a July 4th matinee? We've already seen Maverick. I would suggest seeing Maverick again. If you can see RRR, go see that. If you can see Marcel the shell with shoes on, go see that, because I don't think it opens wide until the 15th of July.
And we're going to review a movie that if you have kids, we have a movie for you.
Sean Zamir for $1.99. Could we have lived without this movie? It doesn't. The only thing it really advances is Jane Foster's story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's sort of a redemption. It's sort of a Thor coming to terms with himself story, which is every Thor movie now. Right? Yeah. Thor's got to learn something about himself. And I guess.
Well, that's the nature of being a god.
Every time. Huh?
That's the nature of being a god. It's. Captain Marvel is just too powerful, and you can't. But Thor is a god, and that's the only thing you can do with all powerful characters is to beat them down a bit and give them some kind of emotional beat to chase at this point because they're just too powerful.
Giggles and Bit says, I liked Ragnarok until he couldn't beat the villain. Yeah, there you go. Trey Brannon says, which female character did the setup a Disney Plus series for? If you want me to answer honestly. Maybe Valkyrie or
maybe
the Asgard series. I don't know. Thor is thousands of years old. Why is he just now finding himself? Yeah, I know it's that seems a little weird. Jack D. Ripper, I'll give Thor a chance solely based on Taika being behind it. I do like Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
I do like
he's all over it. He's all over it. So.
He's all over it, but it's almost like he can't get out of the way of himself to let moments that should be like, I just would have liked less humor because I think it would have made things more meaneful.
Honestly, I think you were peeing during some of the serious moments between Thor and Jane.
When I was in the bathroom?
I think you were doing. Yeah, because there's certain parts you missed, and we had to fill in for you. So
see, this
that
is
must
why
have been the part.
This is why I'm giving my full review next week because I do plan to see it again. Matthew A. Kobo, what's the ranking with other Thor movies? Matthew, we may have to save that for like.
Yeah, let's save that one.
Let's save that one, but we will answer that, Matthew. Thank you for that. Please come back. I'm waiting for the Jeff Goldblum spinoffs as Internet Rec Room. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see Game Master stuff, definitely.
Why is Valkyrie a king and not a queen, says Spidey Sensei 72. Yeah, I think that's dumb. I mean, I think it's dumb.
Sir.
Yeah.
Not ma'am, sir.
Nikki D for 5 says, is Thor 4 on par with RRR Top Gun Maverick in terms of entertainment and lasting effect? I can give you with 100% certainty, no. RRR is a movie I continue to think about. RRR is the movie I've seen the most in theaters this year. It's a movie I've seen 6 times this year. And I can't stop thinking about it and recommending it to people. Top Gun Maverick, I also saw 3 times in the theater. Loved it. It's a return to sort of a classic movie that Hollywood seems incapable of making today. It's also the #1 movie this year, surpassing $1 billion. And prediction, it will be the #1 movie at the box office this weekend. In spite of Minions, which we will get to. Does Natalie Portman's CGI arms steal the show? They do not. And they're 100% enhanced. Matthew A. Kobo, Chris missed the whole movie because he was in the bathroom. I did not miss the whole movie. I missed a scene.
Just the important parts.
Luther Talbert for 5 says, we are on vacation and listening to you while we drive. My kids, Regan and Liam, are excited to see the Thor movie. I'm not sure about their ages. Can I just say this? They will love it. I think they will love it. I think that, like, look, I'm much more nitpicky. Okay, Luther Talbert. And thank you for that. And thank you, Regan and Liam. Or is it Reagan and Liam? I don't know. Reagan and Liam, please correct me. Or Regan and Liam. But Luther Talbert, thank you for that. On vacation. I hope you're love that. I love the family in the car driving. Used to do that myself.
Yeah. So drive safe. You sent a super chat while you were driving. So
sent a super chat while you're driving. I hope you're in the passenger seat, Luther. But yeah.
Also, your kids are going to do goat impressions all the way home from Thor: Love and Thunder.
The goats are perfectly used in the movie because they're not overused. It's and it's also like how the
it's a running gag. Yeah.
It's a running gag, and they sound, because this is true in real life. Goats, when they like make sounds, they almost sound like humans. It's very weird sounding. So I don't want to
enjoy.
Yeah, just like, goats are really good comic relief. But here's the problem: is so much of, usually what you would have in a movie is you have a character that is comic relief. The problem is Thor has too many comic relief characters, including the lead character. Now, is that a bad thing? Your mileage on comedy may vary, but I really think your kids are going to have a good time. Geek Chat 1 for 5 says, can we get Beta Ray Bill now? At some point, I think that could happen. Jack D. Ripper says, Chris is like Jack Warner. He bases how good a film is on how many piss breaks. It's a 3-piss picture. Well, it depends on the movie. I really do have to watch my intake. But yes, Jack, I do have to pay attention to that. Now, that's our early reaction to Thor. That is our early reaction. It's not the only movie it's opening next week, and we will talk about it in spoiler detail next week. And what I hope is that you have seen it by then, because you'll be able to see it on Thursday. So do those early screenings.
Maybe even Wednesday. I don't know. I would think they do it Wednesday if they were smart and want to make money.
And Flaccid Phoenix reminding you, shout out to Flaccid Phoenix and his channel. Go subscribe to Flaccid Phoenix. Everyone needs to slap that like button to get this to 200 likes. Got over 400 people watching. That's just half of you need to do it. So yeah, we'll do our full Thor review next week. But I will say that I think this is much more enjoyable than Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Mm-hmm. That we have multiple problems with Multiverse of Madness, but Thor: Love and Thunder, fun. I just wonder, where is Marvel going? Where is this all leading? Well, we may have answers. According to Kevin Feige, we're going to get answers to that soon, but those answers aren't in this movie. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think Wakanda Forever is in November, so maybe we'll get it there.
There you go.